And we also have Maha Mantra there, the famous Maha Mantra. Can everyone hear me? Yes, okay,
Yes.
good. Okay, good.
We can hear you fine.
All right. Oh, the famous Krishna Priya. Okay. We are here in coronavirus land. So, uh, we'll do something a little special tonight, maybe a little more traditional. We're going to read a little bit from the Bhagavad Gita. I think you all have heard of the Bhagavad Gita before, hopefully. It's a book that was a transcription of a conversation between Krishna and his devotee, Arjuna. But first, we're going to have some music from a famous musician who's joining us. It's been pretty expensive to pay his fee, but anyway, he's joining us from Fiji. And his name is Maha Mantra. And he's named after the holy names. Pretty good. So you ready to go? What are you going to sing for us tonight? Did you
I
put
don't know
your
really
Did you put it on original sound on your? Should say turn on original sound. No, you didn't do that, did you?
yeah, it was on. Yeah, it's on.
You're on original sound. Okay. So what do you want to chant tonight?
I don't know really what do you want me to chant? Just a regular song, Hare Krishna tune, or
What would you like to chant? Because last time you had "Don't Worry, Be Happy." So
Yeah.
what are the other songs in your repertoire?
we have Chant with Me, or we have Waiting for You that we did before too. We have In the Jungle.
No. How about chant? How about chant with me?
Chant with Me.
Yeah. And actually, we have another famous musician who's watching too. That's Madhava Sangani and Arjuna. Phew. Maybe we can get her to chant. Maybe another time, of course. I'm not going to embarrass her right now. All right, so chant with me, yeah. Take it away.
Okay. So there's another song I just changed the lyrics to.
Yeah.
So,
Have more of the Hare Krishna chanting on this one at the end.
Okay.
All right.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you chant with me. Oh, darling, darling, chant with me. Oh, chant with me. Chant with me. Chant with me. Chant with me. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
If the sky that we look upon to tumble and fall, and the mountains to crumble into the sea, I won't cry, no, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you chant with me. Oh, Prabhu, Prabhu, chant with me. Oh, chant with me. Chant with me. Chant with me. Chant with me. Everybody. Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Hare. One last time. Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay.
Yes, you're there.
How about where's Adi?
He's actually on a call with a devotee.
With Shama.
No. I think he's a student.
Oh, okay. Okay, so how about one more song that everybody knows, My Sweet Lord?
Oh, my sweet Lord. Okay.
Everyone will
We'll just
enjoy
play a
that
little
one.
bit different with more Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
My Lord, my sweet Lord, my Lord, I really wanna see you. I really wanna be with you. I really wanna see you, Lord. But it takes so long, my Lord. Hare Krishna, my Lord. Hare Krishna, my sweet Lord. Krishna, Krishna, Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, I really wanna show you, Lord, that it won't take long, my Lord. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, sweet Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, my Lord. Hare Krishna, sweet Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, my Lord, my sweet Lord, my Lord. I really wanna see you. I really wanna be with you. I really wanna see you, Lord. Would it take so long, my Lord? Hare Krishna, my Lord. Hare Krishna, sweet Lord. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare, my Lord, my sweet Lord. I really wanna know you. I really wanna go with you. I really wanna show you, Lord, that it won't take long. Hare Krishna, my Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, my sweet Lord.
Okay, very nice. Okay, that was Maha Mantra. And so now we'll chant Jai Radha Madhava. Oh, there's Adi Purush,
Sure.
the famous scholar. Actually, he's a devotee in disguise as a scholar. Okay, so you can put yourself on mute. So we're going to have my portion now. Okay, let's see, can everyone here? Let's put this. All right. There we go. That's better. So, I guess I'll chant Jai Radha Madhava, and you can all listen or chant along in your own homes, and then we're going to have a little discussion, not just a class, but a little interactive discussion on Bhagavad Gita, because I found so many interesting verses that we can talk about. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari, Gopi Jana Balagoba Giribaradhari, Gopi Jana Balagoba Giri Bharat Hari Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamunati Banachari Yamunati Manachari Jaya Radha Madhova Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhova Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balagova Giri Hari Gopi Jana Balagova Giri Hari Yashodanandana Raja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Raja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Manachari Yamuna Tira Manachari Jaya Radha Madhova Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhova Kunya Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravatikacharya Avasutata Sitashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Charanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Ramse Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopakapada Sayam Kun Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Maturam Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Shrimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Sama Veda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Gaur. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, Om Ganat Mirandasha Gananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Benitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So I thought we'd have this evening's discussion based upon a verse in the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And for those of you who know the Bhagavad Gita, the 16th chapter is called Divine and Demoniac Nature. So I wanted to discuss with all of you and unpack each of these qualities that are listed as divine qualities and ask you all to see if you have those qualities and what are you going to do to achieve those qualities, and who do you see who has those qualities? Okay, let's start. I'm going to read the Sanskrit, of course. Let's see, should I read the word by word? Yeah, read the word by word synonyms. And we'll go over the translation one word at a time. So, Shri Bhagavan Vacha Vayam Sattvasam Shuri Jnana Yoga Vipastitihi Dhanam Dhamastik Yagyascha Swadhyas Tapaharjavam Ahimsa Satcham Akrodas Jagasyanti Rupaishinam Daya Bhutesh Valo Lupwam Mardhavam Rira Chapalam Dejakshamadriti Xocham Adroha Nati Manata Pavanti Sampadadhaivim Abhijatasya Bharata. So the synonyms are as follows. Sri Bhagavan Vacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, said, Avayam, fearlessness, Sattva Samshuddhi, purification of one's existence, Jnana, knowledge, Yoga, of linking up, Vyavastitihi, the situation, Dhanam, charity, Dhamma, cha, and controlling the mind, Yagya, cha, and performance of sacrifice, swadhyaya, study of Vedic literature, tapaha, austerity, arjavam, simplicity, ahimsa, non-violence, Satcham, truthfulness, akrodha, freedom from anger, tyaga, renunciation, shantihi, tranquility, apaishunam, aversion to fault finding, doya, mercy, bhuteshu, towards all living entities, alolupvam, freedom from greed, mardavam, gentleness, ri, modesty, achapalam, determination, teja, vigor, kshama, forgiveness, driti, fortitude, shocham, cleanliness, adroha, freedom from envy, na, not, atimanita, this expectation of honor, bhavanti, become, sampadam, qualities, daivim, transcendental, abhijatasha, one who is born of Bharata, O son of Bharata. So rather than read the whole verse, I'm going to just go through each particular quality and try to discuss it and ask for questions and realizations from all of you, since we want to do this in a rather interactive fashion. So of course it starts, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, the Blessed Lord said, and the first quality here is fearlessness, which is really interesting in regard to today's situation, because many of us are fearful right now. So what we have to fear, actually, there's one interesting quote, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. Anyway, actually, it's good to be fearful of certain things. Now, I'm going to ask you all, to see who wants to participate, what should we be afraid of? Anybody, speak up if you would. Okay. There, you got to take yourself off mute to speak up. Just speak up. Don't have to raise your hand. Just speak, whoever's first.
Afraid of forgetting Krishna.
Yes. Afraid of forgetting Krishna. What else are we afraid of in that regard?
Afraid of Maya.
Afraid
Maya's
of Maya.
attraction.
What else are we afraid of?
Afraid at the time of death whether I'll be able to remember Krishna or not.
Right. Something else we should be afraid of. Anybody else?
Taking birth in an animal kingdom.
That's pretty good. Unless we're actually a devotee of Krishna. An animal is a devotee. Krishna's dog. So we should be afraid of losing the association of devotees.
Association of devotees.
Yes, because that's the most valuable thing. If one has the association of devotees, one basically gets all the other good qualities, and then you don't have to be afraid of anything else, because devotees will remind you of Krishna. So we should be fearful of certain things. Or as Prabhupada said one time, the problem with you Western boys and girls, because I'm not a boy or a girl anymore, certainly not a girl, but the problem with you Western boys and girls is you're not enough afraid of Maya, Krishna's illusory energy. So we should be fearful of these things. But however, there's other things in this world that we're not fearful of. Or maybe if we were Krishna conscious, we wouldn't be fearful of. And that's the danger in this world. As we were talking about the other day, padam padam yadvi padam natesham. This material world is danger at every step. Now, we understand that Krishna is always protecting us. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he listed 6 qualities of surrender for devotees. He said, first of all, to understand, first of all, to accept everything favorable for serving Krishna, reject everything unfavorable, to understand the Lord is always maintaining you and always protecting you, and then to have no separate interests other than the interests of the Lord, and ultimately to be meek and humble. So if one is always remembering Krishna, then that material fearfulness will not manifest, because Krishna is always protecting one. So, anyway, so that's how one attains fearlessness. And the second quality listed here is purification of one's existence, which is very, very interesting. So, in other words, one should always be endeavoring to purify your existence. And how do you purify your existence? Let's take some questions, some answers here. Anyone want to volunteer? How do you purify your existence? Give me some methods.
And the holy name.
Chant the holy name. Give me another one.
Following rules and regulations,
Yeah, which rules and regulations?
the four regulative principles.
Yeah, of freedom. Yes, that's good. What's another very powerful method?
Having good associations.
Too many people speaking. Taking good association. Yeah.
Eating prasadam only.
Eating prasadam only. That's good. And on the negative side, there's also that verse that satsanga tyag e vaishnavachar. Lord Chaitanya said, when he was asked about the quality of a devotee, he said, a devotee's quality is a satsanga tyag e vaishnavachar. A devotee gives up bad association. Now, why? Actually, I'll ask this question rather than me answering every question. Why is bad association detrimental to spiritual life? Can anyone tell me? Wow. Because I said so? Because Prabhupada said so? I mean, give me a reason.
Because it's contaminating.
Why?
It waters the seeds of our desires.
What's that, Shruti? It's hard to hear it.
It waters the seeds of our desires.
Yeah.
Sensual desires.
Very good. Like Lord Chaitanya, that's a good example. I didn't even think about that one. That we're cultivating the creeper of devotion, and you get all these other desires that get watered at the same time by bad association. Now, why does bad association water those other desires? Why? Lady Kant.
Gurudev,
Yeah.
like,
Who else?
maybe we can't get excel in our bhakti.
Yeah, but why? Why? Why is bad association? All right, let me be more specific. Let's say I am eating food cooked by a Rakshasa.
like,
Vegetarian food, of course. Let's say
Gurudev, like,
let's say I'm going to McDonald's, which I would never do, and ordering the veggie burger. Why does it interfere with my bhakti? Why? I know it, eating food cooked by non-devotees contaminates the mind, but why? My question is why? Give me a verse from the Bhagavad Gita.
It has to do with the most mature nature.
Yes, exactly. And the verse I was thinking of is Karanam Guna Sangasha Sadasa Janma Jonishu. That our entanglement is due to the three modes of material nature. And everything in this world that is not connected to Krishna, in one way or other, has a covering of these three modes of nature. Just like paint. When you have wet paint over everything and you touch it, then you get the paint on your hands or whatever you touch. So everything in this world, that's why we have to be very careful to keep our consciousness pure. I'll give you a practical story in my own Krishna consciousness, which I like to always illustrate these points in my utilize in my own experience. Once upon a time, many years ago, before any of you in this conversation were ever born, I was traveling with a sannyasi, and he had just taken sannyas, and I was a nice, pure brahmachari. It was kind of funny. I was humble, pure, devoted. Anyway, so I was a pure brahmachari, and I was traveling with him, and as a sannyasi told me that now that we're traveling and preaching, it doesn't matter that we have to prepare our own food. We can just go into the supermarket and basically pick whatever we want, the salad dressing, the prepared foods, it doesn't matter, and we can just Sri Vishnu it. Anyone's heard of the word Sri Vishnu? Actually,
Yes.
I don't have any remembrance of Prabhupada ever using the term Sri Vishnu in something. Although the devotees do it all the time. You take a glass of water, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Om Tat Sat, like that. And so we started doing that. And I thought, this is great. You know, we don't have to wake up early anymore. Fantastic. You know, everything I always hated about Krishna consciousness, like waking up early, we don't have to do. And we can just go to the supermarket and buy some nice, there was a type of bread at that time called Oro wheat bread. You know, nice, organic, mixed wheat bread. So I thought this was great. But then we started to notice our consciousness was dropping just from eating these things which had contained within them the modes of nature. Nalini Kant, you can put it on your thing on mute, because I can hear some of the things you're doing. Okay. So I noticed our consciousness was dropping, and he also noticed it. And we resolved at that point to cook all of our own food, even though we were traveling in a van with no kitchen. And we started to have dal and chapatis every day, and even I had to roll the chapatis. Everybody try to put yours on mute if you can, because I'm hearing a lot of noises. Then I had to cook the chapatis on a wheel well in the back of a van. And then our consciousness went up again. So, because of the modes of nature, we don't take it so seriously, but if you listen to music, like some of you like to hear Bollywood music or love songs. I know that. You know, or some of you like to watch different sporting games. Like in Fiji especially, they like this game called rugby, or Fiji Sevens, whatever the heck it is. I don't even know what it is. And don't tell me what it is, I'm not interested. So, it's interesting, they like to watch these things so much. One night I was in our temple in Suva, and in the middle of the night, at midnight, I was woken up by everyone chanting Hari Bol. And I was thinking, boy, these devotees are so enthusiastic, they're chanting the holy names in the middle of the night, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. And I asked the devotees what had happened in the middle of the night. And they said, well, we won the Fiji Sevens, or whatever Sevens it was. And the game was held in the UK, which is exactly 12 hours difference. So, anyway, I didn't criticize the devotees, I just said, Hare Krishna, welcome to Suva. So, welcome to Fiji. So, one may think, you know, just watching the game, but when you watch the game, you may like it. After a while, you get into the same mode of nature, because you're associating with the people. One time I was in the airport in, where was this? This was in New Zealand, in Auckland, New Zealand, and I went into the lounge, and there was a big screen TV, and everybody was watching some game. It might have been soccer at that particular point. And everybody was watching was grunting along with the players. You know, ooh, ooh. I was thinking, am I with a bunch of monkeys, or I'm with human beings here in this particular room? So, in other words, they were, by association, they were absorbing these modes of nature. And then what happens, of course you may say, well, you know, be a little lenient, Maharaj, why you should be so strict about these. What happens is you actually lose a taste for hearing and chanting. What the taste that you're always anxious for requires that you keep your consciousness pure. So that's why. I'm not saying that we're just like some obsessive, compulsive fanatics, you know, like obsessive, compulsive people, especially compulsive people. Some of you have studied Shakespeare. have heard about in Macbeth, Lady Macbeth cleaning her hands because she had been complicit in a murder, out, damn spot, like that. So some of you may think that this is being really obsessive or compulsive, this type of cleanliness. Well, if you follow this type of cleanliness, you'll taste so much nectar, ecstasy, you won't believe. So that's really, you keep your consciousness pure, and then, like keeping your glasses pure, you can see things as they are. Otherwise, you're chanting the holy names, Cheto Darpanam Arjanam, Bhava Mahad Vagni Nirvapanam, cleanses the heart. So you're cleansing the heart, and then you're throwing more dirt on the heart again. I know I'm speaking as a fanatic sannyasi, sorry about that. But this is what Krishna's words here, which I can't see unless I put my glasses back on. So Krishna's words, purification of one's existence. The reason we're interested in that, so we can taste the nectar that we're always anxious for. I mean, I want to be happy. I want to have a taste for hearing and chanting about Krishna. Anyway, so one should, two things about purifying one's existence. Take the positive steps. Positive steps are association with devotees, chanting the holy names, eating prasadam, seeing the deities. I mean, I can go through a whole list of things. Serving Krishna, and then negatively try to avoid things that will contaminate you. Why play in the mud? When I was young, I used to play in the mud and enjoy it. I'm sure some of you did too. And I remember, oh my God, I shouldn't give this example, but there's a devotee I know who went to this festival many years ago called Woodstock. And the people would roll, these hippies would roll in the mud and think it was like some ecstatic experience. But why roll in the mud? You should be cleaning the heart. Anyway, so that's the second point here. Okay, cultivation of spiritual knowledge. These are godly qualities. These are the qualities that we should be aspiring for. The next one is charity. Wow. What does charity mean in this regard? And I'm asking one of you, what does charity mean?
Preaching?
Yes, helping bring others to Krishna consciousness. Because if you give charity that hurts someone, I mean, for example, if you give someone, let's say someone is asking for whiskey or something like that, whiskey or liquor or something like that, that will hurt someone. First of all, you have to know what's best for someone before you can help them. Prabhupada gave the example one time of a young boy whose brother had some particular disease, I think it was jaundice. And this young boy thought he'd be very charitable to his brother. His brother was asking for something that was bad for his jaundice, and fried food, I think it was. Yeah, because that's very bad for jaundice. And he gave it to his brother. So that's charity in the mode of ignorance. And charity in the mode of goodness is charity given according to the time, place, and circumstance, and what's good for the person. So one should always be thinking of helping others. And in order to be always thinking of helping others, we have this principle of para dukkha dukhi, which means considering other people's happiness is more important than your own happiness. Of course, at the same time, you got to take care of your own needs. We don't want someone to be like a suicide preacher. A suicide preacher is someone who doesn't take care of their own spiritual needs and material needs. I mean, someone asked me the question, actually, 2 times we got asked this question. How is it that you could always, they asked me, that you could always be happy, satisfied, and jolly in spite of so many people wanting things from you? It's true. I mean, when you got a lot of disciples, they always want something, a piece of the action or something. I want his foot. No, I want that foot. I want the left foot. Like that. I mean, it's almost like being one of the Beatles, that you had to have a guard. The Beatles had to have guards because all the girls that were worshiping the Beatles would have torn them apart. So someone asked me that question. So my answer is you have to also be aware of your own needs, and you also have to take time for your own needs too. To be compassionate to others, to be charitable towards others, one has to also be charitable towards oneself. Very important principle. In other words, you have to take care of your own spiritual strength, and then you can help others. And spiritual strength and material strength, sorry. So that's charity. And so the best charity is to give others Krishna consciousness some way or the other. Okay. Next quality listed here is, just let me ask a question. Does anyone think that they have all these qualities that we listed so far? Raise your hand if you think you're manifesting all these qualities. I don't see anyone raising their hand. Anyway, there's a challenge. How much? Raise your hand. No. This. No. Raise your hand. No. Adi's raising his hand for him. So these are the qualities we should aspire for. This is an aspiration verse. Things that we should examine. Do we have these qualities? How can I attain these qualities? Next one is self-control. That's a big one. So self-control basically means that one has to have his or her intelligence developed nicely. And the intelligence has to be fixed in Krishna consciousness, because as we know, there's a mind, intelligence, and ego. So Prabhupada said that the intelligence is the closest thing to the soul. Prabhupada made this particular, let's say, expression with his hands. That means intelligence is the guidance given by the super soul in Krishna consciousness according to one's spiritual desire. Now, there's material intelligence too, which actually comes from the mode of passion. But spiritual intelligence is given by Krishna, and it's a dispassionate guide from the super soul that tells us what is the right thing and what is the wrong thing, or wrong action or right action in each and every circumstance. So we have to make the mind calm enough so we can hear the direction of the intelligence. Because we know basically when we're doing the wrong thing, and we know what is the right thing to do. So self-control means you hear the direction of the intelligence and you use the intelligence to control the mind, as the example given in the Bhagavad Gita of a chariot. The 5 horses are the senses on the chariot. The chariot is the body. The mind is the reins, and the intelligence is the driver. And the passenger is us. So we have to strengthen our intelligence, and we study Prabhupada's books. We understand what Krishna wants from us, and then we control the mind. That's self-control. So that's the understanding. I'll go ahead. Next one is performance of sacrifice. And here, sacrifice is not meaning so much the havans or the yagyas, except for the Sankirtan yagya. In this age, in this day and age, performance of sacrifice means Sankirtan yagya. Next one is study of the Vedas. So for us, that means study of Srila Prabhupada's books, study of the Vaishnava literatures, Study means jnana, vijnana, to apply what we learn, what we study, and to also memorize parts of the literatures that Srila Prabhupada has given us that can help us in devotional service. They can all help us, obviously. But to study these things doesn't mean just read them, but to actually learn them and apply them in one's life. The next quality listed here, qualities, are austerity and simplicity. And actually they're very similar. Austerity and simplicity means basically to only accept what's necessary for carrying out your service to Krishna, not accept more than absolutely necessary. And that's simplicity also. And simplicity also can refer to being a simple person, not a simpleton, but a simple person in the sense that not a sophisticated person and ready to do whatever service Krishna wants. Next quality is non-violence. Actually, I want to speak a little bit about this quality of non-violence. Non-violence, in many things that we do, there's an aspect of violence to them. And we need to examine our lives. I mean, of course, I don't know if I should make reference to this, but let's say if we're getting some particular foodstuffs that are a product of violence, we need to think very carefully whether or not we should be engaged in obtaining those particular foodstuffs. If those particular foodstuffs, to be more specific, have to do with the mistreatment of the cow, I think we should think very clearly with an objective sense, using our sense of ethics and morality, whether it is right for us to engage in that activity. I mean, I'll give you another example of nonviolence. A very simple thing that happened to me the other day. I was walking, as I'm doing every day, and chanting my japa, and I was walking in the field we have across the street from the temple here, and inadvertently, whoops, someone's chatting. So inadvertently, I stepped on an anthill. You know, anthill, that means where the ants are. And I didn't hurt any of the ants, but I was feeling really bad. I was feeling that I was violent towards the ants and feeling bad. And in order to make up for that, I actually went down and started chanting to the ants for about 10 minutes, asking for forgiveness. So anyway, so one should have this attitude of respect for all living entities. I know it sounds kind of funny, but respect for all living entities who are parts and parcels of Krishna. That means all living entities. And to see that every single living entity is as dear to Krishna as you are. You know, so many times, whether even dealing with human beings, we tend to minimize someone else's suffering or not consider someone else's suffering. But we should feel this pain to see someone else suffer and take whatever steps we need to take to avoid causing suffering for other people or other entities, any entity, not only human beings. So to me, this quality of nonviolence is extremely important. So does anyone have a question about that point? Because for me, this is like one of the number one qualities. Questions about nonviolence? No? Everyone's embarrassed to talk about it. So the point is, each and every one of us should be thinking what we do during the day, how to minimize violence and pain that we are causing to other living entities. I mean, there's a certain amount of pain we cause just by walking on the grass, which we're not going to avoid doing. So the whole point is to minimize it. We should feel extremely bad whenever we advertently, or hopefully not advertently, or inadvertently cause pain to any other living entity. I mean, when I did that to the anthill, I was actually feeling extremely bad. And so my recommendation is that we should develop this particular mood and mentality. Anyone have any questions?
So,
Namaruchi,
yeah. So, is chanting the Hare Krishna the best thing? What you can do with that to develop that mood?
Well, yeah. Developing compassion for all living entities, reading the books, understanding how every single entity is Krishna's son or daughter, and how we're all related, and they're all equally dear. I am not more dear to Krishna than an ant. I mean, that's a hard one to swallow. The ant is just as important to Krishna as me. And I'm thinking, I'm just a guru. Whoops. Let me just turn that off. I'm thinking that I'm just some big guru, man's gift to whatever. But actually the ant is just as important. Just like, someone's trying to call. Just like, for example, of course, there's the spider and the Hanuman example, how the spider was trying to please Lord Ram by helping him build the bridge to Lanka, just by kicking some dust. And Hanuman said, "Get out of my way." And Lord Ram said, "The spider is as dear to me as you are. He's doing as much service as you are." Of course, I'm not saying that the ant was doing service for Krishna, but the ant is as important. It's really our business to be very careful about not harming any living entity. There's an example with Prabhupada that once upon a time there was a bug on a flower, and it was in Prabhupada's room, and Prabhupada said, the bug is hungry. And he told the devotee to go to the trouble of taking the bug out of the room and putting him somewhere where the bug could eat. So this principle of nonviolence is extremely important. Let's see. Okay. So just think about that in your own lives. How am I causing pain to other living entities? How can I minimize that or eliminate that? Because these living entities are just as important to Krishna as I am. The reason we're not experiencing Paradukkha Dukhi is we're thinking of ourselves as very important. Okay. Next one, actually, this is probably the last one we'll do today.
Gurudev, I had one question.
Yeah, what's the question?
Violence.
Yeah.
Nonviolence. Can you just speak briefly also about how words can be violent, how there can be violent communication that can cause pain?
Oh, yes, of course. Thank you for asking that question. We can actually cause a lot of pain to other human beings by being abusive, by saying things that are insulting or discouraging to other people or minimizing other people's service. We should always be thinking of encouraging others in Krishna consciousness, encouraging others in general. We should be positive with people. So yes, that's actually quite an important point, Krishna Priya, that actually sometimes it's mentioned that harsh words coming from someone are more painful than a knife in the heart. So any way that we are causing pain to people, animals, plants, any other living entity, we should think about it and try to minimize it or eliminate it, possibly eliminate it. I mean, I'm not talking like we should be Jains and wearing a mask on our face and saying, which is actually impractical. But there's always some interaction with living entities where we may cause pain. You step on grass, for example, which I gave before. But we should minimize these things and just feel very humble about it. Who am I that I have the right to cause pain to another living entity because of my service or my mood? Very, very important in dealing with others. Okay. And the last one I'm going to deal with today is truthfulness. Truthfulness means, of course, in Krishna consciousness, to always speak about the absolute truth, but beyond that, to not tell a lie, except in the circumstance where we're saving someone's life, then a lie could be told at that point. And that's the example given in the Mahabharata, where grandfather Bhishma realizes finally at the end that it was all right for him to break his promise. Of course, that was too late when he realized that. And grandfather Bhishma gave the example. He said, once upon a time, there was a bunch of thieves or dacoits who were running after a family to attack them and perhaps kill them. And this family took shelter in the ashram of a sage. And the dacoits went to the sage and said, have you seen the family? And the sage said, yes, they're in my ashram. And the family was killed by the dacoits. And so at that point, a lie would have been appropriate. But generally, devotees should always tell the truth, especially if we're representing the Krishna consciousness movement, because once you lie and someone catches you in a lie, then they'll never trust you again. And also, lying brings the mode of ignorance and passion and contaminates one's mind. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the austerities of speech are satcha priya hitam, to always speak truthfully, pleasingly, and beneficially. So truthfulness is very important. So we'll end here because we've got a few more to do. Maybe we'll do this tomorrow night. Actually, a lot more to do. Anybody have any questions about any of the points we made today?
I do too.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay, who's speaking?
Gurudev, this is Adidev Das.
Oh, Adidev. Hare Krishna, Adidev.
Yeah, Gurudev, I have a question about the non-violence.
Yeah.
We do a lot of pest control. Even in TT room also we
Yes.
we remove unwanted pests, and also in home, with the ants and everything, so many things. But we are forced to take care of them. So how to understand?
That's why I use the term minimization. And sometimes, in the service of the deities, yes, we may have to get rid of we should get rid of the cockroaches. We may have to get rid of the bugs, and this is in the service of Krishna. That's why I use minimization. So we should be careful not to do any more than absolutely necessary to minimize. I mean, for example, as you all see, I'm here in my home and under seclusion, which is for everyone's benefit. So, protecting everybody from me. So I'm here in my home, and during the summer months, we get a lot of these things called fruit flies. I think everyone knows what a fruit fly is these little tiny bugs, especially when you got bananas and other fruits like that. They're all over the place. And so I was thinking, what are we going to do with these fruit flies? I'm not going to kill them. So we devised a very nice means to catch them and set them free outside. And we made a little funnel device like this with a lid where they could fit in but not come out, and put it on top of a jar and put some fruit in the jar, and they would all go into the jar and they couldn't get out, and then we set them free outside. So in that particular case, I had a remedial measure by which I could get rid of the flies without being violent towards them, although that particular methodology or a similar methodology may not be available in all circumstances. So one has to be practical in this world. I don't think you can avoid committing some violence. You know, what is that statement? That one eats. I'm trying to remember the Sanskrit for it. Jivasa, jivasa, jivanam. You actually eat by eating other living entities. You know, just like you're cutting down the poor, innocent broccoli. Have compassion for the broccoli. So, but we're offering the broccoli to Krishna. We're offering the asparagus to Krishna. We're offering some plants. Sometimes we have to cut down the whole plant. We're freed from the karma from doing that. But not only are we freed from the karma, but we should seek to minimize all those things. Maybe if you're able to grow your own food, you can chant Hare Krishna as you're cutting the broccoli. Or you're taking the asparagus. I mean, eventually the devotee should learn to grow their own food, especially in circumstances like this. It would be good for those of you who have access to property to learn how to grow food, because you may be forced to in the future. Very good idea. So, anyway, I hope that answers the question. Yes, sometimes you got to do that. You don't want bugs crawling all over the deities. You don't want flies on your food. Does that answer the question, Adi Dave?
Yeah, thank you, Gurudev. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for asking that question. Any other questions about anything else that we talked about tonight?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Suprabha.
Ah, yes.
Nandana Maharaj. Maharaj, I was wondering, like, every time I use milk, I kind of feel like guilty, like when the cows are milk together, the blood also comes out, they're going through so much pain and all that. But we have to offer the milk and the milk product to Krishna. So, what about that?
You've asked a very controversial question. Maybe I'd like to answer that question privately so I don't get in trouble and kicked out of the Hare Krishna movement. Personally, anyway, I guess you stuck me with a question. For me, it's an ethical choice that not only is the cow being milked in such a way that you mentioned that it's extremely cruel, but the calves are actually taken away from the mother cow right after the mother gives birth. In the Ramayana, it says actually it's sinful to drink milk or to take milk from a cow that doesn't have its calf. So maybe I'll just leave it at that, because I don't want to be seen as non-Vedic or interfering with people offering things to the deities.
Maharaj, yeah, it's okay.
But it's an ethical choice that one has to make, and it's the male calves are taken away. Anyway, you got me started. The male calves are
No, it's not. It's okay, yeah. No.
the male calf. Well, you started me. So the male calves are taken away, and they're actually killed immediately, almost immediately. And the cow is not allowed to live its full life, only 6 or 7 years until its milk production drops. So anyway, so it's an ethical choice. You all have that choice to make. I know I've made that choice in my life, so we should think about that. I mean, I think about whatever I do. I think about, is it too much? Am I harming other living entities? Is it just too much? What, I have to be consistent with my ethical beliefs. And this nonviolence to me is actually an extremely important point. So.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay, sorry about that answer.
Right.
So,
Thanks for asking that question.
Yeah, that's fine. No, it's fine you asked the question. I just was trying to avoid it. So, any other questions? Quick questions. It's after 6 o'clock here. quick questions about anything? Bhagavad Gita. As you see, in this particular verse, as in all verses of the Bhagavad Gita, you can go through each word and analyze each word and try to understand how it applies to you. Because everything's meant for application. You know, sometimes we think the Bhagavad Gita is a very nice philosophical text. We're supposed to learn all these verses. But everything can be applied to our own lives. You know, not only is it knowledge, but it's applied knowledge. Jnana and Vijnana. Okay, on that happy note, thank you all for joining us. It's nice to see everybody from New Zealand.
But Krishna Gurudev, can I ask one question?
Nalini Kant. Yeah, ask a question.
Gurudev, you mentioned to us once, I think last visit to New Zealand, I was asking about unless one gets the Shuddhanam and completely purified, one doesn't get qualified to go back to Godhead.
That's right.
So the qualities we discussed today, and there are so many qualities, and once, unless one does not get does not perfect in all those qualities, one won't be able to chant Shuddhanam, one won't be able to...
I think you got it backwards. You should chant Shuddhanam, and then you should see how you're developing all those qualities. You should chant the Shuddhanam that you've gotten from a pure devotee. Of course, you may not be chanting Shuddhanam right now, but you should chant the name, and you can examine to see how you're advancing according to how you're acquiring these different qualities. At the same time, you should try to acquire these qualities. Yeah, it's not that, because yasti bhakti bhagavacha kinchana savar gunas tatra samasate sura. Harabhavakta shikuto mahadguna mano retain asati davato bihi. That one who becomes Krishna conscious, automatically all these qualities develop in one. So, yes, it's not that we just chant and wait for all the qualities to come automatically. However, we chant and we understand these qualities, and trying to cultivate these qualities will help us to achieve Shuddhanam.
Okay, Gurudev.
I mean, it's not one or the other. They actually are both together. They work together.
Gurudev, so far whenever I reflect, I feel that I'm unable to develop any of these qualities. Gurudev, I was thinking yesterday, so one does not perfect despite of getting mercy of the Guru, mercy of devotees, one doesn't progress. We were reading about different hellish planets yesterday, and I felt so scared that I'm going to go through all those.
Don't worry. Swapamapasya dharmasya trayate mahatobayat. A little bit of Krishna consciousness will save you from the most dangerous type of fear. So don't worry about it. You're not going to go to the hellish planets. We have this thing called Ashabandha, which means hope against hope. Rupa Goswami talks about it in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He says, even though I have no taste for chanting, etc., that I know Krishna will save me. Basically, I'm paraphrasing that. So we just have this faith in Krishna, and we try our best. That's all that Krishna wants. He's not expecting you to be perfect. He's expecting you to try your best, and then he'll make up the rest. Ananyas chintayanto mam yejanak paripastate tesham nityabhayuktamam yogakshemahamiham. Krishna says, for those who are devoted to me, I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So, as Mahamantra said, don't worry, be happy. Chant Hare Krishna. Chant Hare Krishna. Don't worry too much. But it's important to understand these qualities, not only insofar as ourselves, but we should examine to see who is actually a saintly person by seeing who is developing, who has these qualities. It's another reason we understand these qualities. Now, we look at these qualities through the lens of Srila Prabhupada's existence. You know, like Prabhupada was called Abhaya Shatvasham Shuddhi, he was called Abhaya Charanaravinda. which means someone who is fearless, having taken shelter at the Lord's lotus feet. So who is more fearless than Prabhupada? Who is more heroic than Prabhupada? And if you look at all these different qualities, you'll see that Prabhupada exhibited them to the highest degree. So that's another way of understanding this verse, not only in reference to oneself, but in reference to pure devotees like His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. So don't worry, as the song goes, don't worry, be happy. If you don't got any rotis, don't worry. If your wife forgot that she had a pati, don't worry. That's another verse in the song. Just chant Hare Krishna and try your best, all right?
Okay.
Okay, we got to end. So thank you all very much. All glories to His Divine Grace. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you for all.